All right, let's talk about the most incredible, non-stop transport network on the entire planet. And guess what? It's humming away inside you right this very second. We're diving deep into the circulatory system.
So, here's what we've got on tap. We'll start with the big picture, what this transport system is all about. Then we'll check out the heart, that amazing pump. We'll take a grand tour of the whole network, meet the stuff actually floating around in your blood, look at what happens when you get, well, traffic jams, and wrap up with how to keep the whole system flowing. Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's kick things off with the basics. Just how important is this whole internal network? I mean, it's so much more than just a bunch of pipes. It's literally the system that keeps every single cell in your body alive.
You know, to really get a sense of the scale we're talking about, let me ask you something. What do you think is the busiest highway on Earth?
Nope, it's not some crazy freeway in LA or Tokyo. The answer is, it's the non-stop transport network inside your body. This thing is working 24/7, 365, with absolutely no breaks.
And think about all the jobs it's doing. It's delivering oxygen and food to your cells. It's hauling away the trash like carbon dioxide. It's the superhighway for your immune system's disease-fighting soldiers. It even has an emergency repair crew for cuts and scrapes. Oh, and it's your body's thermostat too, keeping you warm. The bottom line is, without this system, we wouldn't last more than a few minutes. It's that crucial.
Now, at the very center of this whole massive operation, there is one incredible, powerful engine. Yeah, you guessed it. Let's talk about the heart.
I mean, the heart is just a marvel of biological engineering, right? It's this hollow, muscular organ that's basically a dual-action pump. Think about this. At the exact same time, one side is pushing fresh, oxygenated blood out to your entire body, while the other side is sending used, deoxygenated blood over to the lungs to get a refill. It's incredible.
So the way it does this is with 4 separate chambers. You can almost think of it like a 2-story house with a wall down the middle. On the right side, you've got the right atrium. That's the receiving dock for all the oxygen-poor blood coming back from the body. It drops that blood down to the right ventricle, which then gives it a good push over to the lungs. Once the blood picks up oxygen, it comes back to the left side of the heart into the left atrium. And from there, it goes to the powerhouse, the left ventricle, which is the strongest chamber, and it pumps that fresh blood out to the rest of the body.
So, what about that lub-dub sound? How does it keep that perfect rhythm? Well, it all starts with a tiny patch of cells called the pacemaker, or the SA node. It's in the right atrium. It sends out a little electrical spark. That spark makes the top 2 chambers, the atria, contract and squeeze blood down into the ventricles. The signal then travels to a sort of relay station, which then tells the bottom 2 chambers, the ventricles, to contract, and that pumps the blood out of the heart. So it's squeeze, 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 squeeze. That's your heartbeat.
And how often does it do this? Well, when you're just sitting there, relaxing, it's beating about 70 times a minute of every day, for your entire life. Talk about a relentless workout.
Okay, so we've met the engine. Now let's hit the road. We're going to shrink down Magic School Bus style and follow a single red blood cell on its grand tour through the body.
So, leaving the heart, our little red blood cell is shot into the superhighways of the body, the arteries. These things have thick, muscular walls because they have to handle the massive pressure from each heartbeat, carrying all that oxygen-rich blood away from the heart. Now, the return trip is a bit more relaxed. That happens in the veins. They carry the used, oxygen-poor blood back to the heart. The pressure is way lower, so their walls are thinner, and they have these cool little one-way valves to make sure the blood doesn't start flowing backward.
But, you know, arteries and veins are just for travel. The real work, the actual deliveries, happens in the capillaries. These are the tiny side streets, the little neighborhood roads. They're so small, their walls are literally one single cell thick. This is what allows our red blood cell to just hand off its oxygen cargo to the body's cells and, at the same time, pick up the waste products, like carbon dioxide. This is where all the action is.
So this whole journey is basically 2 big loops. First, there's the pulmonary loop. That's a quick trip from the heart to the lungs just to pick up oxygen, and then right back to the heart. Then comes the big one, the systemic loop. That's when the heart pumps that oxygenated blood out to your entire body, from your brain to your toes to make all those deliveries, and then it travels all the way back. It's like this constant, endless figure 8.
All right, so we've seen the roads, but what about the actual traffic? What's in all those vehicles traveling through your arteries and veins? Let's take a look at the cargo, the crew, and the repair teams that make up your blood.
Okay, so what's actually in your blood? Well, first you've got plasma. That's the yellowish liquid part. It's the river itself, carrying nutrients, hormones, and waste. Then you have the red blood cells. Think of these as the oxygen delivery trucks, stuffed with an iron-rich protein called hemoglobin. The white blood cells, they're your body's security detail, always on patrol, fighting off germs and invaders. And finally, you have platelets. These little guys are the emergency repair crew.
So let's see that repair crew in action. Let's say you get a paper cut. It seems small, but to your body, it's a breach. A silent alarm goes off, and a rapid response team gets to work.
The response is almost instant. First, those platelets swarm the area, getting all sticky and clinging to the edges of the wound. Then they release chemicals that kick off a chain reaction, producing something called fibrin. Fibrin is amazing. It's like a microscopic spiderweb. It weaves this net across the cut, and that net traps more platelets and red blood cells, forming a plug, a clot, that stops you from bleeding. Pretty clever, huh?
Now here's a crucial thing to know. Not all blood is the same. You've heard of blood types, right? It all comes down to little markers, or antigens, on the surface of your red blood cells. Your immune system is trained to attack any markers it doesn't recognize. That's why blood transfusions have to be compatible. If you're type O, your blood cells have no markers, so they can be given to anyone. You're a universal donor. And if you're type AB, you have both kinds of markers, so your body recognizes everything. You can receive blood from anyone. You're a universal recipient.
So this system is absolutely brilliant when it's working perfectly. But like any busy highway, it's not foolproof. Sometimes you get traffic jams, and sometimes you get major breakdowns. And the main cause of those traffic jams is a condition called atherosclerosis. Basically, this is when gunk, like fats, cholesterol, and other stuff, starts building up on the inside walls of your arteries. It's like the highway slowly going from 4 lanes down to 1.
And as you can imagine, these blockages are really dangerous. For one, they force your heart to work way harder to push blood through that narrow space. But the real danger is if a piece of that buildup breaks off and completely blocks an artery. If that blockage cuts off blood to the heart muscle, that's a heart attack. If it cuts off blood to the brain, that's a stroke.
Okay, that all sounds pretty scary, I know. But here's the good news. There is so much we can do about it. So let's wrap this up by talking about how you can help keep your own personal highway system flowing freely.
And one of the absolute best things you can do is exercise. Why? Well, first, it strengthens your heart. Remember, it's a muscle. A stronger heart is a more efficient pump. Second, when you move your body, your skeletal muscles actually squeeze your veins, which helps push that blood back up to your heart. It's like getting a little extra boost. All of this helps keep your arteries healthy and your blood pressure in a good spot. When you really think about it, this incredible, unbelievably complex system never, ever stops working for you. Not for a single second. So the real question, the one to leave you with, is this: how will you work for it?